Alright, you fellas ready to play my favorite game? It's time to play How Can They Mess Up the Launch of this Chibi-Robo game? This week's contestant is Chibi-Robo Clean Sweep. Let's see what they got up their sleeve for this one. Well, to start, this game was apparently announced mere weeks before actually coming out. No time for an actual marketing campaign, just throw that shit out there and hope for the best, am I right? But that's not all. They also released it within weeks of the Wii port of the first game. Yeah, just let them compete against each other on store shelves, it'll be fine. And the icing on top, it was only ever released in Japan. So, what do you know? Another Chibi-Robo game and another terrible launch. This launch is especially disappointing though, as this could have been the perfect opportunity for Chibi-Robo to reach a wider audience. The new play control version of the first game was released during the Wii's prime and could have introduced a lot of people to the series. Then they follow it up with a proper sequel in the form of Clean Sweep and bam! This could have been Chibi-Robo's big break. But nope. They rush it out to the Japanese market and don't even give it a chance worldwide. It was obvious that Nintendo just didn't care about the series. Thankfully though, the fans do care, and thanks to a user that goes by the name Cjub, we can now fully enjoy this game in English. If it wasn't for them putting together this amazing fan translation, I wouldn't be able to properly cover this game. So a huge shout out to them for taking the time to put this together. But without further ado, let's dive into Chibi-Robo Clean Sweep. We start the game and I guess I put in the wrong game. Sorry, give me a minute. What? Yeah, this is how the game starts apparently. It's never explained why, but I guess it's interesting. After that though, we get greeted by a somewhat familiar face. Telly's back. We then go outside to see who purchased us. Meet Jenny's family, which, that name sound familiar? Well, it should, because this Jenny is actually the same one as the first game, except all grown up. I absolutely love that they did this. It's such a neat nod to the original. I would have never expected them to bring back a character like this, but yeah, apparently Jenny ditched the frog hat and has a family of her own now. We have her son named Keith and their dog Lucky. Now, this family is poor. Telly, don't pour shame. Because of this, Clean Sweep features a pretty different environment than the last two games. Instead of a bright and colorful house, we get to explore a dull and dreary one, which looks straight out of a horror film. It's a pretty drastic change of scenery, which I appreciate. It doesn't try to just copy what the first game did, it aims to create its own unique identity. I find it to be a similar situation to how Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask were handled. Both are directly connected, but they have a completely different tone and atmosphere from one another. It makes the sequel feel fresh and original, instead of falling into the new Super Mario Bros. Trap where each sequel feels exactly the same as its predecessor. Right away, we'll get a brief overview of the controls, and surprisingly, this game is controlled exclusively with the touchscreen. Gone is Park Patrol's touch and button hybrid setup. The only buttons you will use are the D-pad for camera movement and occasionally the shoulder buttons for some items. I was originally not a fan of this, as I usually find touch controls like this to feel extremely gimmicky and unnecessary. But they actually work extremely well here, and I can't imagine playing this game any other way. Moving with the stylus just gives you so much more freedom compared to a D-pad, which limits your movement to only 8 directions. Even things that you would expect to feel gimmicky, like scrubbing up spills on the floor, feels natural and intuitive. The controls are just overall fun to use. This is probably the best example of touch controls in a 3D game that I've seen yet. The premise of the game is you trying to help Jenny's family out of poverty by cleaning and raising money to help them buy the finer things, like a bathtub. You telling me you guys don't bathe? They don't expect you to do all the work though, as they have what are called savings tournaments. These have each of the family members putting together what money they do have to save enough for a big ticket item. The objective is to see who raised the most by the time the goal is met. They won't actually add any additional funds past their initial donation, so spoiler alert, you end up winning every time. Regardless, this is a really interesting setup. It makes you feel like you're all part of a family working towards a common goal. I didn't feel like I had to help raise this money, I wanted to. I immediately felt attached to these characters and wanted to help them. Jenny is a single mom who is constantly working just to provide for her family. It is an overused trope, but her positive attitude makes her an extremely likable character. That, and I mean, we've already spent an entire game getting to know her. Keith, on the other hand, starts out as just your generic unruly kid, but as the story progresses, you'll start to learn more about him and the family overall. The first Chibi-Robo definitely had a pretty emotional plot, but this game is on a whole other level. I may have cried during the ending. It just dives into a much deeper topic about family, but it never overshadows the quirkiness that the series is known for. It's emotional, but charming. It's a very Chibi-Robo plot, I guess you could say. Honestly, this might be the best story in the series so far. I just found myself feeling more invested. But on the other hand, the first game definitely had the better characters. I mean, come on, how you gonna be dead? Like with the first game, all of the toys in the house come to life when humans aren't around. This time we've got characters like a masked wrestler who likes spicy food, an edgy shark, and a pig that's a cop. I feel like there's a joke in there somewhere. They again provide you with various side quests, and these are a huge step up from the original Chibi-Robos. The first game had way too many fetch quests in my opinion, but here there's a lot more variety. One moment you'll be helping the masked wrestler fight a giant ghost, and in the next you'll be fending off a horde of rats with the cop. They help the game feel fresh and provide a nice break from the main story. These characters also feel a lot more connected than the first games. The toys in the original Chibi-Robo barely interacted with one another. Their stories were very much self-contained, excluding a few of them. But here, the toys are constantly interacting with each other. It just makes the world feel more alive and believable. They're definitely a lot more weird as well. I mean, just look at this. What the hell am I looking at here? Now, most of your time will be spent cleaning. Of course you can do the usual stuff like scrubbing up spills and picking up trash, but new to this game is Chibi-Robo's vacuum cleaner. With this, you can clean up piles of dust throughout the house. However, you need to be connected to a wall outlet in order to use it. This is all fine and good, but what happens if you find some dust with no outlet in sight? Well, that's where the maintenance machine comes in. With this, you can extend the length of Chibi-Robo's cable, which allows you to reach faraway dust piles. But this isn't the only use for extending your cable. You can also pick up your plug and throw it across the room. This means if your cable is long enough, you can just throw it at an outlet instead of walking all the way up to it. But more importantly, you can use this to explore the house. See, you can toss it at an outlet that's above you, then climb the cable to gain access to higher areas. This is such a cool and creative way to get around and gives Chibi-Robo a lot more versatility in terms of movement. Later on, you'll also unlock an ability which puts you in control of Telly. You can use him to fly the plug anywhere and then have him hold it while you climb up. All of these new mechanics makes exploration a lot more enjoyable and less tedious. Also, fall damage is gone. In the first game, you'd have to slowly climb or glide down from high up areas. Dropping down would cause you to lose energy. But here, once you're done exploring a high up place, just drop down and you're good to go. This might seem like a small change, but it makes a world of difference when you're trying to quickly traverse an area. Like I said before, our goal is to help Jenny's family raise enough money to buy things to improve their home. So, where do we get the money from? Well, besides literally stealing it from their emergency savings, you can use a sieve to pan for gold in the dust you collect. You can then trade that gold for money. There's also a casino ran by some ghosts in the attic, and I totally didn't spend multiple days here just to lose everything. Alright, maybe I did. Outside of the savings tournaments, you can also spend your earnings on items purchased through a shopping channel. You turn on the TV, see what's for sale, write down the item number, and go over to the phone to call in your order. Also, just look at this. Guys, so cute! The more you clean, the more items will become available for you to purchase. It's here that we can buy things like new flooring, wallpaper, and furniture. You can also customize most of this stuff, which allows you to personalize the environment a bit. It's a lot of fun to see the atmosphere of the house completely change as you buy new things. It's a really nice reward for all of the cleaning that you do. Now, this game doesn't just share mechanics from the first game, it also brings back a few elements from Park Patrol, like being able to ride vehicles, which control a lot better here. But the biggest returning aspect is the watt system. You see, in Park Patrol, you could only recharge as long as you had enough watts saved up. And it's exactly the same in Chibi-Robo Clean Sweep, except instead of converting your happy points into watts, you now convert the trash you pick up. Park Patrol made watts super easy to get and made the whole system feel kinda pointless. But here, watts are a lot more difficult to come by. Each piece of trash only equates to just a few watts, so there will be a lot of instances where you'll be completely out and won't be able to charge your battery. This mechanic just provides a new dynamic to how you played that wasn't present in the original. Honestly, Clean Sweep is the perfect sequel. It takes everything that the previous two games did and refines it to near perfection. It's incredible how much they were able to improve the formula here. It fixes pretty much every gripe I had with the previous entries. It's definitely my favorite Chibi-Robo game, and yeah, I'm saying that before I've even touched the next two. Kinda shows you how much confidence I have in them. But all of this makes the fact that Nintendo completely butchered the launch of this game hurt even more. I truly believe that if it was given a proper marketing campaign and released worldwide, it would have been a success. The only reason I can think of as to why Nintendo chose to release a game like this is they felt it wouldn't be worth the effort. Up until this point, Chibi-Robo has barely made them any money, so they probably saw it as a poor investment to put resources into marketing and localizing it. But the thing is, Nintendo, you only have yourself to blame for this. You've never given Chibi-Robo a proper chance to succeed. You just throw his games out there and then wonder why they're not selling. They're not selling because you aren't giving these games the resources they need to thrive. But you know what? Nintendo's smart. They've been around a while. So honestly, I feel they know exactly what they're doing here. Why? Who the hell knows? Maybe they just don't see the potential in a game like this. That definitely explained the change in direction the series has seen recently. But regardless, Chibi-Robo Clean Sweep is amazing, and in my opinion is the perfect way to cap off the original Chibi-Robo trilogy. Because after this, the series would never be the same. So next time, and I honestly have no idea what to expect with this one, we'll be covering Chibi-Robo Photo Finder. So be sure to subscribe so you don't miss that video, and if you haven't seen my previous Chibi-Robo videos, you can click here to get all caught up with this fancy little playlist I made. Neat! But yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you all next time. Thanks for watching.